Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to the heat of Valencia for round 5 of Ferrari Challenge across our European calendar for 2025. Halfway point in our 2025 season and race 2 of our Ferrari Challenge. Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am racing to come. Their first race, of course, was yesterday. It's the second race today. Here comes the official welcome. So the Valencia Circuit Ricardo Tormo is where we're at then. We've been before to Monza, Misano, Hockenheim and Brno, and here we are in Barcelona. Next, after this race in Valencia, then it will be Barcelona, Spa-Francorchamps and Mugello. That's where we will be going to right at the end of the season, at the end of October, in fairness. And the Round 8 also feature, of course, our Finale Mondiale event too. The track temperature is 62 degrees Celsius. The air temperature 35 degrees. No, what I wouldn't do to be in there amongst the wildlife this afternoon, because despite the air conditioning running absolutely full chat flat in our studio here, it's still pretty warm. Nico Spalek alongside me from Germany. Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very warm here in Valencia. And when it's warm for us, that means it will be truly punishing for our competitors in Trofeo Pirelli Am. And as you can already tell, all the measures possible are being taken to allow the drivers to be as cool as possible before the start. Once the race gets underway, it's down to the drivers to keep a cool head. It's going to be difficult.
Gilles Remans we're looking at right now, who's qualified P3 on the grid. Here is Jasin Ferati now. He had a fantastic day yesterday, taking the race win. And he goes from P1 today. He set a lap time of 1:32.015 in his ML Fry Racing 296 car. And here is David Gosner. Now, David Gosner is the second fastest of our Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers. Now, the Trofeo Pirelli drivers have got the red strip across the top of the windscreen. Our Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers, like David Gosner, have got the white strip across the top of the windscreen. That's how you can identify between the two categories. Big thumbs up from David Gosner, and he did a good job in qualifying, and the driver of the number 50 car finishing P4 just off the podium yesterday. He'll be hoping to do better than that today. And as we go into the Ferrari Warsaw driver, Michael Verhagen, who put it on pole position with a 1:32.352. Now that's a pole position within his class of Trofeo Pirelli Am, which means he'll actually be starting on the second row of the grid, because the Pirelli cars and Pirelli Am cars all get muddled up on the grid. Right, here come the highlights then for Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am then, and well, Felix Erziger trying to go around the outside. Nobuhiro Imada was absolutely determined to put himself ahead of Marco Zanazzi, and did that very well, and put himself to the inside of Hendrik Viol. But then Marco Zanazzi made contact with Nobuhiro Imada, and that sent Nobuhiro Imada around. David Gosner was in the middle of something of a sandwich here, and there you could see the number 51 car of Jakob Bidstrup going around, and Nobuhiro Imada going through. The highlights here of Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am, as Hendrik Viol tries to make his way up the order, and Nobuhiro Imada also doing the same, having got past the Matt Rosner car. So Jasin Ferati was really stretching his legs out front in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, and Marco Zanazzi here was advantaged by two cars going wide there, and basically put himself ahead of both the 42 and 51 cars. Great driving. Now, this was the overtake of the day, in my opinion, as Max Mugelli put himself ahead of Felix Erziger, and that would be for a podium place. No mistake in our race winner, though, Jasin Ferati for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, and for our Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers, it would be Michael Verhagen, who would head towards the checkered flag to take the Pirelli Am win. Seems hard to correlate the fact that it was Jasin Ferati's first win in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. I first met Jasin Ferati when he was eSports racing And Ismail, one of our Ferrari esports drivers, been with us all weekend as well. So esports very much a feeder into racing now. And Jasin Ferati is a perfect example of that, I would suggest, Nico. And, well, he'll be hoping to repeat his success of yesterday today.
For sure, and he was very, very confident in the winner interview yesterday, saying he and the team had unlocked something and he would be featuring very prominently in the winner's circle going forward, and made no mistake in qualifying. Can you transform that into P1 in the race? There's lots of drivers who will have a word about that.
And one of those will be this man, Felix Herziger, who had a rich vein of form, it has to be said, in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. He drives for the Anico Reparto Corsa Ram team. Had a long chat with Felix Herziger over lunch today. And bear in mind, he had a space of, or had a period of 5 wins non-stop. There is Max Mugelli and the CDP Eureka competition driver, who was superb yesterday, taking a well-deserved podium. It was P3 for Max Mugelli yesterday. What can he do today? Well, he's P5 within class, and that's P7 on the grid. So he's got some overtaking to do, to be fair. We'll see how he can do.
Ferrari, Ferrari.
Thank you. Forza Ferrari.
The best looking car, Pakistan, the best team in the world, 2 years in a row.
It was remarkable. At Le Mans, 3 times in a row in the top class of Le Mans Ferrari winners. Brilliant job done by everyone involved in the hypercar, and 3 wins in a row at Le Mans, 24 hours. I mean, that's one heck of an achievement, Nico.
Absolutely. I mean, the entire Corsa Clienti family with all sorts of activities, and the challenge is part of that. The hypercar program is one of that, and customer racing, GT3, Competizione GT, another element of that. And really impressive program.
Yes, and they've done so very well. And interesting how all 3 cars have made it to the top step of the podium in Le Mans for 3 years in a row. And 3 years after its presentation at the 24 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps in 2022, Ferrari chooses the same race, the most important on the GT calendar, to unveil the new 296 GT3 Evo. Building on the experience gained with the LMGT3 296, which competes in the FIA WEC Championship from the 2024 season, and of course the 296 GT3, which since its debut has won 5 titles, including drivers and teams titles in the pro class of the GT World Challenge Endurance Cup, the benchmark championship for GT3 cars. It is the 296 GT3 Evo. Oh yes, launched this weekend. What a car. Here is the Valencia circuit in all its glory. Then the 14 turn, 9 left, 5 right-handers across the 4.005 kilometers of the circuit. Ricardo Tormo, so named after the 2-time world champion Grand Prix motorcycle racer Ricardo Tormo. The only respite the drivers get across this technical circuit is between the final turn, turn 14, and the first turn, turn number 1. That's the only straight. So there, the cars are all lined up. I remind you, the Pirelli drivers drive with the red strip across the top of the windscreen. The AM drivers drive with the white strip across the top of the windscreen. Pole in each of the categories. Jasin Ferati for Emil Ferrari Racing. He is pole for Pirelli, for Pirelli AM. For Ferrari Warsaw, it's Michael Verhagen as the cars are released behind the Richard Mille safety car. drivers will lead the cars away on their formation lap. Side-by-side formation towards the end of the lap. The Richard Mills safety car will peel off into the pit lane. It will be the responsibility of Jasin Ferati and Felix Herziger to control the pace of the rolling start as the cars will cross the start-finish line. We'll bring you the grid in full from back to front as we look at Hendrik Viol driving the number 92 car, who is out of position. In my opinion, P6 within class. That's not where we would expect him to be. Nor Marco Sanassi right at the back of the pack, P21 on row 11. Then it's Armin Arifpour and Angelo Fontana. They go from P20 and P19. Otto Blank and Andrew Morrow, 18 and 17. Andrew Morrow was on the podium just yesterday. It's Jacob Bidstrup and Herbert Geis going from P16 and P15. This is the grid overall, bear in mind. Danilo Del Favro and Hendrik Viol, 14 and 13. P12 for Anders Bidstrup and P11, first of the Pirelli drivers that we see, Enzo Trulli. Then it's Henri Acide and Nobuhiro Imada on the 5th row. On the 4th row, Hanno Laskowski and Max Mugelli. Then to the sharp end we go with Vincenzo Scarpetta and David Gosner going from P6 and P5. It's Gilles Redman and Michael Verhagen, P4 and P3. And then on the first row of the grid, P2, Felix Herziger, P1, Jasin Ferati. That's the way the cars shape up. Pirelli Am drivers. This is going to be really, really exciting stuff. In searing temperatures, how will the drivers cope with it? Well, they did it yesterday.
Position in the back feels quite good. Honestly, I expected that because we already had a mega pace from yesterday, and I think we know what we have to do, and I will give my best for the race again, like yesterday.
Is it arrogance or is it confidence? You need a bit of both to be a winning racing driver, and that's what Jasin Ferati is, Nico.
Absolutely, and well, he said it yesterday, he sticks to it, and good for him. It means for the other drivers, get the overtake done early, or Jasin Ferati may be up the road once again. Big and great mix of Pirelli drivers that can only make it more exciting.
I remind you, Pirelli drivers, red strip across the top of the windscreen. Am drivers, white strip across the top of the windscreen. At the top of your screen right now is the lighting gantry. When the lights go out, we will be racing. Every driver has to go through their grid box for it to be deemed a satisfactory start. We are ready to go racing with the Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am. Felix Herziger getting a good start. Jasin Ferati, though, matching him speed. They're side by side going into turn number 1, but I think Jasin Ferati has just got it. So through he goes. Oh, going very, very wide is Henri Acide and Hanno Laskowski, and also Hendrik Viol, who's had a blistering start. He could find himself P1 in Pirelli Am before the end of the first 2 or 3 corners. Absolutely extraordinary stuff. He's just hung out to dry a little bit by Michael Verhagen, but Hendrik Viol is up to P2. A blistering start from Hendrik Viol then in the number 92 car. We ride on board right now. We could see Jasin Ferati P1. It is Felix Herziger, then Vincenzo Scarpetta and Gilles Redman. It's Michael Verhagen, Hendrik Viol and Hanno Laskowski, the top 3 for our Pirelli Am drivers. And Jasin Ferati and Felix Herziger were absolutely matched, centimetre by centimetre, going into turn number 1. And Felix Herziger now is going to have to really put the pressure down, because Jasin Ferati is beginning to build a little bit of a margin into the middle part of this lap between P1 and P2. And of course, Vincenzo Scarpetta and Gilles Redmans will both be thinking, right, we're going to find a way past Herziger now. So the rest of the cars try and settle down a little bit. There is Hendrik Viol being really hounded by David Gosner, who's P3 for our Pirelli Am drivers, as they come into turn 14 for the first time of asking in this race. And round turn 14, we'll get a live gap right at the front. Jasin Ferati is leading Felix Herziger by 1.573 seconds, which is built in the space of 1 lap, Nico.
Yeah, indeed, and the top 4 cars on the track are Pirelli drivers. Then we have 5 Pirelli Am drivers, but actually Michael Verhagen, like yesterday, more mixing up with the Pirelli drivers. And behind him there is Hendrik Viol, as you said, David Gosner, Danilo Del Favre, a very, very good start from him. Hanno Laskowski, yesterday's P2 driver, in P5 in class for the moment.
And for the likes of those running P5 and P6 in Trofeo Pirelli, and I'm talking about Max Mugelli and Enzo Trulli, they've got five Trofeo Pirelli Am driver cars ahead of them, and they would need to get by them before they can get to the likes of Gilles Redmond and Vincenzo Scarpetta. That's going to be a huge ask for them. However, they like nothing more than a task. The start is under investigation. Now, it might be under investigation because some drivers may be not running through their grid boxes, which is what they are supposed to do at the start. As soon as we have any information, any concreted information, we will bring that to you live from our studio here. Jasin Ferati leading by 2 seconds over Felix Herziger. It's Vincenzo Scarpetta running in P3. Then it is Gilles Redmonds. It's Michael Verhagen, Hendrik Viol, David Gostner. We're going to get a replay at the start. And let's see if we can spot what went wrong here. Well, there are two cars there that surely didn't run through their grid boxes.
Well, we entered the replay after the light had gone green or extinguished, so not quite sure, but it certainly looked like in live pictures, like one of the two of the cars had already veered a little bit far to the middle. So race control will have sensors, more cameras, more opportunities at replays. I'm glad that we had a clean start and all 21 cars are still running without any major incident, so that's always good to see. Jasin Ferati, he was under threat, as you said, but he managed to hold on, and now he's stretching his legs, and Felix Herziger has to both look at trying to get on terms with it. He's now broken away a little bit from Vincenzo Scarpetta, so if he's got a chance to get on terms with Jasin Ferati, now is the time to do it.
Jasin Ferati seems to be, Nico, and we saw it yesterday, that once he's got his nose in front, he is utterly clinical. He executes every turn very well. He kisses the apex perfectly. I mean, he is engineered by Emil Frey Racing, and they have Giacomo Altoe as their senior driver coach. And, well, Giacomo knows a thing or two about driving winning Ferrari challenge cars and winning championships. Car number 50 is going to get a drive-through penalty for incorrect starting alignment. Now, that is the driver that is P3 in the AM race at the moment. Another one that's going to get a drive-through penalty is the driver that's P3 in Trofeo Pirelli. So Vincenzo Scarpetta and David Gostner both picking up drive-through penalties for incorrect starting alignment. That will be for potentially not driving through their grid boxes, Nico, I suspect.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be my assumption as well. It obviously changes the dynamic of the race for podium positions. Hendrik Viol will potentially breathe a sigh of relief because he moved up the order significantly. The award he got for that is a David Gostner in his rearview mirror who was pushing and pushing and pushing, and that threat will go away. Michael Verhagen, he would like to be a little bit quicker, but equally he doesn't want to mix it up with the Pirelli drivers.
Well, Gilles Redmonds here is really taking it to Vincenzo Scarpetta now. The team of the number 77 car, Francorchamps Motors Brussels, ought to be on the radio to Gilles Redmonds, saying to him, don't push yourself too hard on Vincenzo Scarpetta because he's got to serve a drive-through penalty, and the car that is immediately behind you is Michael Verhagen, and therefore is in a different category to yourself, so you're not racing him. And don't race the car in front of you necessarily, because you're going to inherit that position come what may.
Yeah, Gilles Redmonds will say, well, actually, there is another car in front of the car in front of me, who I want to get on terms with. But yeah, he has to be careful not to overdrive the tires in an attempt to get past the car that he will get past one way or the other. He just hopes that Vincenzo Scarpetta will take that drive-through penalty sooner rather than later.
Well, he's got to do it within 3 laps. Those are the rules. Within 3 laps of being told about a penalty, you have to seize it. Jasin Ferati, Felix Herziger, Vincenzo Scarpetta then on track. 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Vincenzo Scarpetta dives into the pit lane now to take his drive-through penalty. Brakes really hard to get the mandatory speed limit through the pit lane. Now that elevates Gilles Redmonds up to P3. David Gostner, I think, stayed out. So David Gostner not coming in yet for his drive-through penalty. But there is the number 90 car of Vincenzo Scarpetta for Radici Automobili taking his drive-through penalty. And don't cross the white line on the exit of the pit lane, otherwise you could be in all sorts of strife all over again. And well, he's racing with Armin Arifpour now and actually gets ahead of Armin Arifpour, comes out ahead of him. So here is our race leader, Jasin Ferati. Only one driver in the top few that has got a track limits warning, and that is our driver in P3, Gilles Redman, at the moment, but it is only a warning. You can bank up to 3 of those. It's on the 4th one that you would pick up a penalty. So really, really interesting how in the early stages of the race, when you expect cars to be using every inch of or every centimetre of tarmac plus some, actually, drivers have all been pretty good about it. Jasin Ferati is the best of the lot because he's 4.4 seconds to the good. Emil Frey racing his team. You can see as we split the screen, he is doing a very good job with this 296 Challenge car then, as he puts another lap in the book then. 4.481 it was last time around. Let's see what it is to Felix Herziger now. I think it's going to be a bit more. It is a bit more, another 3/10, 4.773 now, Nico.
Yeah, and you already said that the team and Jasin Ferati had figured out the car for him. And remember, this is the car that Giacomo Altoe drove to a championship last year. It's the very same car, and sometimes in a way that can be a curse, because obviously the car was perfect for Giacomo Altoe. Drivers have different styles. It doesn't mean that it has to be perfect for Jasin Ferati. So maybe Jasin just needs a little bit of a different setup for him, and the teams have figured out how the car works perfectly for Jasin, and that's exactly what they unlocked. There is David Gosler just taking his drive-through penalty.
In replay, Nico, this is where, yeah, David Gosler did miss his grid box. Thank you, everyone. In the truck, you really made it clear there why those penalties were awarded. Right, let's get back to it then as we watch the number 34 car of Enzo Trulli and Marco Zanazzi and Henri Acide.
Yeah, Marco Zanazzi, remember, started from P last on the grid, 21. He's now up into P10 overall, so obviously helped by some drive-through penalties, but he had to make the other overtakes on the track. So that's 11 cars behind him, 9 net overtakes on the track. Quite an impressive first part of the race for Marco Zanazzi.
Max Mugelli we're looking at now. We're looking at Max Mugelli from the onboard camera of Gilles Redman, running P3. Max Mugelli P4. Then it is Enzo Trulli. It's Enzo Trulli that we were looking at from the Max Mugelli. Then Marco Zanazzi, as Nico has mentioned, has done a really, really good job start of this race. And that is one of the Beatstruck brothers, the driver of the number 51 car. That's Jacob, I think, who gets into the gravel, but if he keeps the momentum, he is able to get the car recovered from there. He'll probably distribute a bit of stones across the track, to be fair, which won't necessarily be helpful, but thankfully it doesn't cause a safety car. So accelerating away, and there is Max Mugelli, there is Enzo Trulli, there is Marco Zanazzi, who, Nico, you're quite right to mention, he's done a brilliant job right at the start of this race. Let's go on board the Enzo Trulli car then, Radici Automobili and Zanazzi Racing, and he has got Marco Zanazzi right up his trumpet, to be fair, as Mugelli accelerates away, and Jasin Ferati up to 5.7 seconds to the good at the lead of the race. And Michael Verhagen doing a good job at the lead of the Pirelli Am race as well, ahead of Hendrik Viol and Danilo Del Favero. And they're just ahead of the car that we run on board with right now. Hendrik Viol then across the timing line, and he is being chased right royally now by Danilo Del Favero. So Danilo, who is running in that P3 position, would like to advance himself one further place on the podium. And Danilo Del Favero then, who's driver of car number 9, who's had a kind of a bit past season. His best finish was the opening round in Monza, where he took P6 in race 2, and he's missed a couple of rounds, but nonetheless, he's certainly looking pretty lively, as too is Hanno Laskowski right behind him. And Hanno Laskowski, for fairly unorthodox reasons over the course of previous races, has given us some real entertainment in trying to pitch overtakes, perhaps where you wouldn't necessarily expect to see them, but sometimes they work for him, then other times they don't.
It's a fair point. Danilo Del Favaro, really good showing from him. Hanno Laskowski, also engineered by Ferrari Racing, yesterday on the podium. So whatever pace Jasin Ferati found, certainly some of that has also been shared by Hanno Laskowski, and he's currently running in P4. He would so love to make it 2 podiums out of this event, but he's not the only one who wants to be on that podium. Pretty much everybody has that ambition. Marco Zanazzi, he is now mixing it up with the Pirelli drivers. He would like to get on terms with those AM drivers in front of him, but there are 2 Pirelli drivers in the way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And for those 2 Pirelli drivers that you're talking about, Max Mugelli and Enzo Trulli, they've got four, yes, AM drivers that they would like to get past. They can be on terms with their competitive drivers in Pirelli, which are so far up the road now. In terms of the Trofeo Pirelli AM Drivers' Championship, if it all finished now, it would be 115 points for Hendrik Viol. Marco Zanazzi would be on 96, just 1 ahead of Michael Verhagen, then Andrew Morrow and Herbert Guys. That's our live championship predictor if everything were to finish right now. Well, of course, it won't, because we've got 16 and a quarter minutes plus 1 lap. 16 minutes plus a lap. Always Danilo Del Favaro really closing up on Hendrik Viol under braking there. So it's a real train behind Hendrik Viol. Now, it might be that Danilo Del Favaro actually is a little bit quicker than Hendrik Viol, but it's all very well being a bit quicker. You've got to find a way by, haven't you? And thus far, Danilo Del Favaro has not been able to do that. There is the Max Mugelli car. And as they cross the line now to put another lap in the book. Love that speed camera. You can actually hear the volume of them going through as Marco Zanazzi looking very lively, and right behind Marco Zanazzi is Herbert Guys, and also in the mix there somewhere is Nobuhiro Amada. Just Nobuhiro Amada, where is he? There's Omri Assid.
There's Herbert Guys and then Nobuhiro Amada, both of them like 2 or 1.5 seconds behind the Omri Assid car. There is Herbert Guys in the backdrop.
Yeah.
And Amada just a little bit further behind. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Zanazzi is trying to move further up the order now, finding it very difficult to overtake the Pirelli cars, which actually doesn't really care about them. No. But he has to get past them or dispatch of them to get on terms with the drivers that he really cares about. We saw that he is very much still in the championship fight, and every point that he can claw back would be one that he would cherish. And also he would certainly like Danilo Del Favaro to get past Hendrik Viol, but there is very little he can do to influence that battle.
It's really difficult here for Danilo Del Favaro, the second car, because as he's trying to attack Hendrik Viol ahead, he's also having to defend from the blue and yellow colours of Hanno Laskowski.
Yeah, Hanno Laskowski, again, really good pace yesterday, good pace again, and it would be those 2 drivers who arguably might be quicker than Hendrik Viol, but getting past Hendrik Viol, well, others have tried, some have managed, many have failed.
Yeah, I was going to say, not many, but yes, some have. Right, there's Omri Assid. He is a Trofeo Pirelli driver. Here comes Danilo Del Favaro to the inside of Hendrik Viol. And he does go through, and I have to say, no, he doesn't. Hendrik Viol has more momentum. I thought that that was going to be a coming together if Hendrik Viol had not spotted Danilo Del Favaro there, because it was an audacious move from Danilo. Right, just when you don't expect it, a dive to the inside. Hendrik gave him racing room, was able to carry more momentum and can hold on to that place, which makes me think that probably Danilo is quicker than Hendrik Viol. But it's all very well being quicker, as we said before.
Yeah, but good and fair driving, mutual respect, both left racing room to the other, and that means our great fight can continue. And For a moment, it looked like maybe Hanno Laskowski would be able to take advantage of that, but he had to toe the line once again, staying in that fourth place in that train. Michael Verhagen, what's his gap? It's 3.7 seconds over Hendrik Viol, and as long as those behind him are fighting, there is very little chance that they will get on terms with him. The one thing that Michael Verhagen doesn't need is a safety car.
No, we've got 12.5 minutes plus 1 lap, and you know, it's very difficult to predict in terms of if and when you're going to get a safety car, but it could happen at any time, couldn't it? But at the moment, I would say all the drivers are settled down and gapped sufficiently, but only makes one. It just needs one little bit of contact somewhere, and it could be all so different. So Hendrik Viol then. Oh, and there's been strife for Marco Sanassi. Look, he's got rear wing damage and rear panel damage.
Yeah, he and Henry Asita showing us dropping down the order, and since they were running next to each other,
well, it looked like Marco was on his own, and he'd lost the back end of the car, and Henri Assid was an innocent bystander who tried to get out of the way, but unfortunately the two made contact, and that's a really a great shame, because it was there was certainly nothing, and Henri Assid will be absolutely furious because he had nowhere to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes you're just unlucky in being caught out. Also unfortunate, obviously, for Marco Zanardi.
He certainly didn't do anything maliciously, did he? You know, it's just unfortunate.
Indeed. I mean, he'd done a great job until that point and salvaged a lot of championship points, which now obviously out the window. He, I think, will have to come into the pit lane. I don't think he can continue with that damage. 10.5 minutes remaining. Oh, that would be a tough ask. But let's see how the car handles. You know, we've seen stranger things. The 296 Challenger is an amazing car, and you know, sometimes it can run in tatters almost and still be fairly decently quick.
But I would suggest he would get the meatball flag probably to say that you know, you have some stricken bodywork on the car. I'm just hearing and just seeing that under investigation. Potentially gaining an advantage by leaving the track is Hendrik Viol.
Yeah,
that would be a tall order, because I think he did that in avoidance of collision.
Well, I mean, that's where race control are indicating that they're investigating. It must have been in that sequence where Fahrer was on the inside and Hendrik Viol went a little bit further and almost slingshotted that. I think that's where they will have a look at that. A penalty for Vincenzo Scarpetta for track limits, which in fairness doesn't really change a lot for him, given after his drive-through penalty he's way down the order in Pirelli.
That information we get in our screen, and more often than not you will see it on on your screen. I'm also being advised that car number 92, which is Hendrik Viol, is going to pick up a time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So that means that the live championship points, ignore those for the moment, because I don't think that they can possibly have accounted for the fact that that would drop Hendrik Viol down the order, and that's going to take Hendrik Viol certainly out of podium. Marco Zanassi, you can see, is out of the car and the crash helmet is off, and he'll be bitterly disappointed as well that his race is over. So there is confirmation of that time penalty of 5 seconds for this man, Hendrik Viol, for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So that elevates Danilo Del Favaro to P2, it elevates Hanno Laskowski to another podium, and means that Hendrik Viol, and this is how it happened. Now, there's Danilo going through. Now, Hendrik. Do you know what? I would never want to be in race control, but in fairness, where could he have gone, Nico?
Well, I mean, you can see
squeezed.
You can see that Scuderia Ferrari is discussing that. I think the point that race control are making is actually Favre was a full car length ahead of him. There was space on the track, well, lift. That was probably the argument that they will say you can't just go wide and then come onto the track in front of the other car, or you may have to give the position back. You say it correctly. I wouldn't want to make that call. I'm just thinking that might be the argument race control has. But it is what it is. Henrik Veol will still push as much as he can. It drops him from P2 down to P5 or P6 in class. Herbert Geis is roughly 5 seconds behind Henrik Veol as things stand right now. Certainly it changes, as you said, the live points championship, and you know, from our point of view as a neutral spectator, it bunches everybody up again.
Yes, of course it does. I hear what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. Hendrik could have lifted. I just think it was the sequence. I mean, I don't think he'd have had time to lift because it was almost exactly after the overtake, wasn't it? But that's why I enjoy talking and not making decisions. Felix Herziger, he's kind of been out on his own, hasn't he? He's 7 seconds behind Jasin Ferati. And when you consider the dominance that Felix Herziger has had in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, yeah, this must be, you know, he's having to dig deep here, and he's going to lose Nico, the championship lead. If everything stays the way it is right now, Jasin Ferati would take over the lead of the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, he would, and I think, I mean, we talked about it yesterday. Oh, a little bit of a sideways moment there, and now you can see Hanno Laskowski has overtaken Danilo Del Favaro, so a change in position and podium positions here for the AMs. And now it's Hanno Laskowski chasing Henrik Veol, who again already has that penalty, so it's a little bit of an academic exercise.
Yes, it is.
For Felix Herziger, and we talked about it yesterday, when you're all on your own, you have your own lonely race, probably you will feel the heat more than if you're in a battle like Laskowski. You'll be focusing on what's happening around you.
And almost not feeling the heat.
Yeah, certainly you don't have time to focus on it.
No. In replay then, this was Hanno Laskowski. Wow, selling a dummy to Danilo Del Favaro and getting to the inside of it. That was a good move by Hanno. We said just earlier on that sometimes he's a bit unorthodox in his overtakes. That was spot on, wasn't it?
Yeah, not a place where you usually see the overtakes, but certainly well executed there. And that changes the order. There is the Emil Ferrari Racing Team. We already said it. Jasin Ferati engineered by them, and Hanno Laskowski likewise. So they now have drivers in P1 and P2 in the respective classes. Henrik Veol up to 3 track limit violations. So there is more strife potentially.
Going from bad to worse then.
Well, 3 is still within what he's allowed to have. It's just the one more that he can't afford. 5 minutes plus a lap remaining.
So, well, as you say, 5 minutes remaining. There is Max Mugelli. And here is Michael Verhagen. Michael Verhagen, who set the fastest lap in Trofeo Pirelli Am and is a good distance ahead of everybody else within his class and category. As he throws the car over the curbs and into the Michael Verhagen garage. And enthusiasm to be shown, that's for sure. And here's Hanno Laskowski and Henrik Veol. Now, Henrik Veol wants to protect his track position because, academic as it might be, he's got a time penalty to come. He wants to be as far up the road as he can be, and Danilo Del Favaro has not given up on this either yet. So at the moment, it would be, if everything stays this way, those drivers that are provisional podium places in Pirelli Am are Michael Verhagen, Hanno Laskowski and Danilo Del Favaro. Here's Max Mugelli that we're on board with now. He was on the podium yesterday. It's P4 at the moment in Trofeo Pirelli for Max Mugelli. We've got 4 minutes plus a lap in this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am race.
A live gap between Henrik Veol and Herbert Geis is 5.5 seconds. Now, taking account into that 5-second penalty, Henrik Veol is just ahead of Herbert Geis, and that's one of the reasons why he can ill afford to let the other drivers behind him go past, because that would cost him time and potentially put him in a position where he can't defend his virtual battle with Herbert Geis. And there, very, very close to Danilo Del Favaro is Max Mugelli, but avoided cluttering into it. There is Herbert Geis just in picture, and he is effectively battling Henrik Veol, even though in picture it doesn't look like it.
No, that's taking the time penalty into account, of course. Danilo Del Favaro getting close to Hanno Laskowski as well. This is far from all over yet. 3 minutes plus a lap. Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am. We're live from Valencia watching this extraordinary battle ensue between our drivers, as is often the case in Ferrari Challenge, and indeed in many other racing categories. Sometimes the best of the racing is not at the front of the pack, it's a little bit further down the order, and that's certainly the case in this Pirelli AM race that we are seeing at the moment. Past the speed camera they go, and there is Danilo Del Favaro. It would be his first podium of the season, if my memory serves me. I can't think that he's been on the podium before, and it was a P9 finish for him yesterday, so it'll be a real rate of progression for Danilo, but he's not happy with where he is. He wants to get by Hanno Laskowski because Hanno did it to him, and he wants to pay back the compliment. And may well do that, yet still time, 2 minutes plus a lap.
And they really bunched up behind Hendrik Viol, who's fighting a valiant fight, valiant battle there. And, you know, for him it's about every tenth, every 100 that he can gain and keep. And the other drivers behind him, kind of a little bit of a garnish and side product for him that they are stuck behind him. He doesn't care. He's just racing his own race and fighting for his own championship. And just a live gap from Michael Verhagen on Hendrik Viol, 17 seconds. 17. And with 1 minute 20 seconds plus 1 lap to go, Jasin Ferati just crossed the timing line. I think it's going to be close whether he will cross the timing line, but I think he will cross the timing line when the clock has elapsed. So it's probably this lap plus 1 more, but it's going to be down to a few seconds.
Okay, here's Hendrik Viol being tracked by Hanno Laskowski as they cross the timing line right now. Hanno Laskowski, he comes out of the air and the slipstream of Hendrik Viol. You can see the Hendrik Viol car is looking a bit twitchy on the back end now. I mean, for all of these drivers that have run as close as they have together for lap after lap after lap, credit to all of them that there hasn't been a coming together, because it would be so easy to happen, wouldn't it? But Hendrik Viol defending from Hanno Laskowski. The 2 fastest laps come from the 2 race leaders, unsurprisingly. Jasin Ferati and Michael Verhagen. And, well, Hanno Laskowski is looking and really filling the rear view screen of Hendrik Viol full of the blue and yellow Emil Frey racing car, as Hanno tries everything he can to unsettle Hendrik Viol. One of Hendrik's many, many skills, Nico, is his ability almost sponge-like to absorb pressure and not be threatened or pressured by it.
100%. And Hendrik Viol, remember, was P2 in the championship last year. Just lost out. He was Mr. Consistency last year, and he's a little bit like that again. And as we saw, he's leading the championship, even though he will drop a few places after the checkered flag. But he is still in a very strong position, and he's certainly going to try and bank the points that he can. We're on the final lap. Jasin Ferati has taken that line, and these drivers will now start their final lap.
Yes, Jasin Ferati not able to cross the line with any time remaining. Therefore, this becomes the final lap. So it's now or never for Hanno Laskowski to get into that P2 position on track by getting by Hendrik Viol, which he kind of needs not to do, but does, of course, want to keep and protect himself from Danilo Del Favaro. This is Jasin Ferati then, as we're seeing another time penalty, or hearing about another time penalty, but it's almost academic. It's for Armin Arifpour, who running down there in P13, I think, in Pirelli AM. Jasin Ferati, right from the very, very start of the race, has done a good job. And there, confirmation of that time penalty for Armin Arifpour. It is for track limits. And Jasin Ferati accelerates out of turn 14 and heads towards the checkered flag. He will remember Valencia for a very long time in the Ferrari Challenge, Nico, because it's where he has taken 2 wins out of 2. Felix Herziger takes a very creditable P2, and then it is going to be Gilles Renmans that takes P3. For our AM drivers, Michael Verhagen crosses the line to take the win for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli AM. Now, Hendrik Viol on track will take P2. However, he has got a 5-second time penalty to be added to his race time, which will elevate Hanno Laskowski to P2 and Danilo Del Favro to P3. So there you can see Hendrik Viol dropping down the order then. And actually, he's really, by dint of there being 2 Trofeo Pirelli cars in the mix as well, on track, because that time penalty, of course, applied to Hendrik Viol right at the end of the race. The winner is Jasin Ferati. Hendrik Viol, well, he'll still lead the Drivers' Championship, even though he finishes off the podium, Nico, P4.
Yeah, Herbert guys came within 2/10 of Hendrik Viol, but didn't quite make it. Andrew Morrow, creditable performance from him, had a lowly start position, made it up into P6 in class. Not his standard, he was on the podium yesterday, but at least salvaged something out of this, which looked fairly grim after qualifying. But Michael Verhagen, he's found his form once again, and as we saw in the live championship, he is figuring into that, and he will certainly have his sights firmly set on getting on terms with Hendrik Viol in the overall standings.
Yeah, there's still enough racing to come, Nico, isn't there?
Here are 2 race winners, Am and Pirelli running in tandem. And there are some of the spectators. Great number of spectators here in the heat, which is I'm admiring everybody who has decided to come to the Valencia circuit, enjoying some great Ferrari action. The beach is quite an appealing place, but shout out to all the fans who are here and enjoying this with us.
Yes, we are jolly glad that you are here. Cars are all on their slowing down lap and heading towards the Parc Fermé area, where, of course, they will be congratulated in due course by teams, families and guests that will be accompanying. And Jasin Ferati, then, he celebrates 2 out of 2 this weekend. Been a very good weekend for he and for the team, of course, ML Fry Racing. So, Gilles Remans is out of the car, Nico, the Francorchamps Motors driver.
Wasn't classified yesterday, much better race today. A little bit, I'm sure, very welcome water. And there is our race winner, a dominant race win once again. Yesterday it was 17 seconds, not quite as much today, but I mean, never looked in jeopardy after he had rounded the final, the first turn of the first lap.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. So slowly making his way into the... Oh, he's been prevented from so doing by Hanno Laskowski, who'd got his door open. There you go. All happens here, you know. This cool customer is, again, Michael Verhagen being hugged and congratulated. Well done to him. Brilliant job done, the Ferrari Warsaw driver. Lots of congratulations going on all around the area just below the podium. We'll be seeing drivers, 2 podiums to come. Here is confirmation of the classification for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. Jasin Ferati ahead of Felix Herziger and Gilles Renman. Then it was Enzo Trulli, Max Mugelli, Vincenzo Scarpetta, and unfortunately a non-classification for Henri Acide. We will bring you the AM classification in just a moment. Less than just a moment, because there it is. Michael Verhagen, P1, ahead of Hanno Laskowski, Danilo Del Favro, then Hendrik Viol, Herbert Geis, Andrew Morrow, Nobuhiro Imada, Angelo Fontana. They are the top 8. Michael Verhagen, of course, coached by Larry Tenvorda. And shout out to Larry. David Gosner, P9, Anders Bidstrup, P10, Otto Blank, P11, Jakob Bidstrup, P12. Then it was Armin Arifpour and Marco Zanassi. So we will be hearing from our race-winning drivers. The first of those is going to be Jasin Ferati then, driving for the Emil Frey organisation. Emil Frey know how to get the best out of drivers and the best out of their machinery as well, and a well-established and well-renowned motorsport team. And we're going to be hearing from the driver of the number 1 car, Jasin Ferati. He's with Ludovica right now.
Jasin, congratulations to pole position and 2 wins in a row here in Valencia. You made a perfect weekend with your team. So I want to discover with you your feeling and how do you build this weekend in this race?
Yeah, first it's incredible. I think that's what we call the perfect weekend. And it all starts from the first test. We already saw that we have a mega pace, and from that on we start to build up our confidence. And in the end, I think it was just keep the car on track and focus on driving.
Thank you. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
He's a cool dude, that's for sure. But he's delivered when it counted. Up next, as I mentioned then, Michael Verhagen. Remember the Larry Kemporter Driver Academy. And he has done it again. It's been a great weekend for the driver of the number 33 car. Driving for Ferrari Warsaw. It's 2 wins for Michael Verhagen. In my opinion, that makes a total of 3 in the season so far. Let's hear from him now and see how he's feeling and discover his emotions at the end of that race.
Michael, congratulations. Another important victory and result for you here in Valencia. I want to discover with you your strategy and your feeling after this weekend.
The feeling with the car was, again, like yesterday, perfect. The only thing you need to fight against is the tires. So just like yesterday, easy, a little bit more higher gear, dosate the traction, and just let it roll and don't push. That's the key, and it went well. Just quite got along with the pros and leave a little gap. But I'm very happy with the results.
Thank you for your time and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Really interesting what Michael was saying there about perhaps adopt a higher gear than maybe you would and be smooth. So as the cars set off then for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Race 2, initially Felix Herziger had just got the jump on Jasin Ferati, but in the second part of the start, Jasin Ferati was okay, and into turn number 1, Henri Acid and Hanno Laskowski and Hendrik Viol all running very, very wide, but Jasin Ferati had got the measure of Felix Herziger and converted the pole position into the race lead for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. For the Pirelli AM drivers, it was Michael Verhagen, who was at this point being chased by Hendrik Viol. Right at the start of the race, there were a number of drive-through penalties to come. One of those was for Vincenzo Scarpetta. Now, Jacob Bidstrup found the gravel, but thankfully was able to recover the car from there, which didn't mean that we had to have a safety car intervention. And Andrew Morrow doing as much overtaking as he could to try and replicate his podium place from race 1, although it wasn't going to happen in the end. Number 80 car was driven by Angelo Fontana. Then the biggest battle was coming with the AM drivers, but unfortunately one of those, Marco Sanassi, going around, and the unsighted Henri Acid, who did his level best to try and avoid, couldn't avoid the spinning Marco Sanassi car. David Goster was also pushing on during the course of the 30-minute plus 1 lap race and making overtakes wherever he could. But for Jasin Ferati, it was a relatively comfortable drive all the way to the checkered flag. And that was also the case for Michael Verhagen, who would take the win for our Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. So Jasin Ferati for Pirelli, Michael Verhagen for Pirelli AM. In terms of the race statistics, there they are then. There were 4 overtakes in Trofeo Pirelli. In Trofeo Pirelli AM, there were 30. That tells the story, doesn't it? Fastest laps, naturally, comes from our race winners with Jasin Ferati and Michael Verhagen. we're going to be heading up to the podium next. 2 of those to come. Mr. Michele Mambelli will be bringing the drivers out onto the podium. So the applause then for Gilles Redmond, who takes up step 3 on the podium. Step 2 will be the domain of Felix Herziger. And Michele Mambelli's lost his microphone as Jasin Ferati goes to the top step of the podium. And of course, Emil Ferrari Racing will be represented on the podium because they will collect the Copa Team trophy as well. And the national anthem plays out. So the anthem having played out then, well done to all our podium placed drivers. Here comes Thomas Neubauer, Ferrari factory driver, to make the trophy presentation to Gilles Redmond. And then it is Felix Herziger. And our calculations were, with our live championship predictor, that this man, Jasin Ferati, will probably have taken the lead in the Trofeo Pirelli Drivers' Championship. We'll get confirmation of that in just a moment, because of course we'll bring you the championship standings. So Ferrari factory driver Thomas Neubauer making the trophy presentations then to our drivers. And of course we have our Pirelli trophy to be awarded. Matteo Corradini from Pirelli Motorsport making that presentation to Jasin Ferati. Everyone gets together then for the photographs. Now, so photographs being taken then. Our top drivers in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, those that are on the podium. Who is going to win the champagne race? Felix Herziger by a country mile. No question about that. So top 3 drivers then in super slow-mo. Here are the cars for Francorchamps Motors Brussels. Gilles Redmond then P3. P2 for the Ineco Reparto Corsa Ram driver Felix Herziger. P1 for Emil Ferrari Racing and Jasin Ferati. With the cityscape behind us, confirmation in the Drivers' Championship that by 1 point, Jasin Ferati now leads it ahead of Felix Herziger and Vincenzo Scarpetta. Gilles Redmond moves up a place to P4, Max Mugelli drops to P5, then it's Henri Acide, Enzo Trilli up to P7, then it is Quinn Veitlis back ahead of Dylan Medler, racing this weekend in Indianapolis.